Hello, we are back for the final signature for our album. And this time, for real, it will go here on this page. So I've got it laid out. We're going to do a couple of waterfalls and we're going to have some pockets on this side. So let's get right down to the basics. I want to move this. I have it all set up here. Okay, so this is what I've chosen. Now, depending upon what you have in your pack, you can choose whichever background you want. This is going to measure at 8.5 inches across by 8 5/8 in height. And I need to erase some pencil marks that I got down here. All right. So we're going to do a couple of waterfalls. We are going to need to make 6 3 by 5.5 waterfall flaps, and you're going to score it a 1/2 inch on this end. Now I am continuing to round the corners, so you need 6 of these. Again, they're 3 inches in height, 5.5 inches in length, scoring it at a 1/2 inch on the end, and then the 6 we're going to stack up. There is a 7th one that's going to fill the gap behind these, and it is simply 5 inches across by 3 inches. There is no need to put an extra 1/2 inch to tuck it because it will go off the page. This will sit under about like so. And then you're going to want 4 that will measure in length at 6.5 inches, scoring at a 1/2 inch on an end, and then they're going to measure by 4 inches. So once again, 6.5 inches in length by 4 inches, scoring at a 1/2 inch, and you're going to want 4 of these. Now, what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to cut a 4, is this 4? No, not quite here. Hold on just a second. I am going to cut a 4 by 2 inch piece of cardstock. And then I'm going to cut one that's going to be 3 let me see, what do I need here? So that's 3, that's going to be, there's 1, 2, 3 by 3. So 3 by 3. And I'll show you what I'm going to do here with the bigger ones. It is so much easier for me to put these all on a piece of cardstock and then place the cardstock onto the paper. It just makes mounting everything cleaner, at least for me. If you want to go ahead and mount yours, but I'm going to come in here about a 1/2 inch off the end, because by the time we get down here, we're going to have approximately a 1/2 inch here. And now I'm going to take the other ones, and it's also a lot easier to make sure that I am level when I put these down. See? Okay. And then the next one. Get that excess tape tucked back there. And I'm just butting the seam right up to the bottom of the flap here. And we get down here and we have, now these all should be lined up. So they lined up nice and clean. So now all I have to do is put tape on this, and then this whole thing can go down very comfortably. And then when we get this down here, we're going to bring and add this one right in here. So then you have your 5th photo mat right there. So let's get this covered. And we will do the same with the smaller waterfall. Now, I don't really want to put this down yet because I want to get these mounted. All right, so then this one is 3 by 3. Just bringing it right up to that edge. I don't know if I'm on frame for you guys or not, so let me make sure that I am. And again, I'm just butting that up there, laying it down, and so far so good. So far, so good. Last one. Okay. Now we're going to burnish. And then I'm going to burnish this. I forgot to put the tape on this, and I'm a silly girl. Well, it looks like I'm going to need about 3/8 of an inch to finish this off. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this toward me a little bit. I'm not going to care about those for right at the moment. I want these to be about a 1/2 inch. Now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to plant this right up to that seam. If I need to back this off, I can. This is when it's a good time to do it. And I'm going to back this one this way a little bit. And I'm going to pull this one this way. So it looks like over here I'm going to be about 1/4 of an inch when I go to install this, so that this is about 1/4 of an inch thereabouts off this end, and then I will match this up. So this one's going to go down first. Okay, so that I'm straight, I'm going to come in here at about 1/4 of an inch. Butt that right up next to it. And then this will go in right here. Perfect. So this one I'm going to glue down. Very good. Okay, so then what you end up here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 waterfalls. And now we'll put this one down. And again, I'll line this up to be about 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to have roughly a 1/2 inch in between them. And then this one will butt in right there. And look, we're all lined up here. Push that up just a hair so it's level. There we go. Now, on this one, the big bottom one, that you've got some of these large 4x6 cards. Pick whichever one you're most comfortable using. And you can use the reverse side if you want. And I rounded the corners. And then I'm just going to set that right in there. Now this one up here, I did something a little different. So I cut a piece of blue patterned paper where the lines are going this way. And then I took this small card, but I want this image so it'll look like it's still going through the water with the blue around it. And then I took this out of the ephemera and I popped him up. He's going to go there, and then here's the seahorse. He's going to go here. So that's how I'm decorating this. Get these situated here. And then I rounded the corners so that it would kind of soften it a little bit. This will go right here. And then I'm using some small square pop-ups for the seahorse. And I'm just gonna, unfortunately, I'm gonna hide the little orange fish here, but I want this right here. And then I've got a couple of square pop-ups again on the back side of this fish. And he's a little bit bigger than his counterpart, so I am just going to go ahead and cover him right there. So that's done. Now, I cut 1/2 inch pieces that are approximately 3 7/8 in length, and they are going to go here on the ends of the waterfall. And then when I cut these, I needed to round the corners, but once you cut a 1/2 inch strip, I don't know about your corner rounder, but I'm using one of those big chompy things. So it's hard to get them in there. So what I did was here it is. So this was for the smaller ones. So I would actually corner round this first, then cut my 1/2 inch strip and repeat. So I would corner round first, cut my 1/2 inch strip, repeat. And it made for some smoother, rounded corners. And then the last one is for this one. Now, when you go to put photos in here, you'll probably be covering these up, and it will be the ends of your photos that you're going to see. So don't be too stressed if you're going to cover these ends. Either that or you just cut your photos 1/2 inch short. I don't know about you, but there's always room on my photos to edit out stuff. There's always that curtain or that door or, God forbid, that uninvited person that you don't want in the photo, so you just trim them out. I might be short one. Okay, so those are all set. Now, when you open these up, you've got this big gap right here. So I have also cut strips. These are 3/8 of an inch, and they're going to go right in here. I need to put a little bit more here on this end. I didn't notice I had a tear there. And then the same for these. And then the last one. All right, the waterfalls are done. Now, we're going to start over here on the left side. I've got another big page for you. This is going to measure at 8 3/4 inches across by 8 5/8 in the height. And down here, you're going to score at 1/2, and then you're going to score at 5/8. We need that little bit of a gusseted room to account for the buildup here and for any photos that get added. And I want that hinge on the top of the base page, so we're going to come all the way to the 1/2 inch score line and put that down. Not sure where that came from. Okay, and then over here on the right side, we're going to, excuse this, you can see it's holding my magnets. We're going to make a layover flap to close it. So this is going to come in at 6 5/8 by 4, and you're going to score it at 1/2, and you're going to score it at 5/8. And so once we do that, then we're going to center this as best as I can. And I need, these magnets stick to this, and it makes it hard for me to move the paper around. Okay, so then, now I think you notice I've got 2 magnets, and I'll show you here in a brief second why. Okay, so let's take these off. I'm anticipating and trying to avoid a future problem. So make sure this is level, that this is level, and then you can commit your magnets. And then I'm going to take some tape and tape these down. All right, so let's go now to the undercarriage of this guy. This is the piece I'm using, and I cut to trim, keeping away from this 5/8 score line. And I put one of the last remaining collection of fish from the rub-ons up there in the corner. And then I'm creating a nice deep pocket here. And I'm using blue because it should be in the water, you know, their fish are floating. And I'm using this ephemera piece. So we're going to come in here with this guy. And then I'm taking some of the last of the fish, our turtle, and I'm just going to place them strategically, and that's what that layout's going to look like. And let's see, it's very humid out right now, so I'm going to see if I can't get this glue on here fast enough that before it starts to set up. Start here at the corner. Oh shoot, what a bad girl. I'm so sorry. All right, that's okay. We're gonna still get there. This is measuring right at 8 inches, but the height of this is at 2 3/8. And then I trimmed this to fit, and it will go right down here. I thought about using the reverse side, but I thought it was just too much with what I'm trying to do on the front side. But you always have options. You can use whichever side you want. In fact, you can, out of your scraps, use whatever pieces you want. Okay. And I wanted the big guy down here at this end. So he looks like he's swimming into the water. And then I'm just placing them. I don't really have any strategic plan other than I want it to look like they're swimming. And here's the cute little turtle making his way up to the top. And we've got this little red guy. We're going to put him right there. And then the last one is this one right here. Now there's a couple of others left, so choose whichever. I'm going to drop him down here. Okay, so now this is done. So we're going to close this. And then this is, I'm using the yellow piece out of the patterns and solids. And then I'm going to make this pocket down here, and I'm taking some of the starfish. I'm going to actually use one of them to cover up the starfish that's there, and then I'm just going to place a couple more starfish. And then the reason for the double magnets is because this is a pocket on the front, you're going to be putting things in here. So I'm trying to anticipate that you're going to cover up. If I had just one, which would be here in the center, you'd be covering it up. So by having two, I know that it's going to catch here, and it will catch here a little bit higher up. This is the one I've used, Go With The Flow. There's a couple of them in there that you can, oh, I was picking up a little hitchhiker there on my tip of my glue. And then my glue tip fell off. And then we're It's easier if I put it down this way. Now, there is a couple of, this is one that I've got left. I'm not putting it on there because I think it's kind of huge. And if you want to put a photo here, which I wouldn't recommend it, I would maybe journal on this. Because again, you've got to keep in mind, you don't want to be covering up your magnets. So you can make that decision on what you want to do with that. Now we're right at the tail end. This is our last signature, so I want to give a huge shout out to Scrap and Create. They sent me this collection and allowed me to play with it. If you have not purchased it, they would love it if you would swing by their website and share them a little bit of love. You'll get this bundled package, which has the 8.5 by 11 patterns and solids. It will have the 8 by 8 pad, and it will have a 12 by 12 pad, plus your sticker sheets, your ephemera, and your tags and frames. Okay, so this is going to come in here. I knew that was going to be a problem. What did I do? Oh, Charlie, 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 you make more trouble for yourself. I forgot to put the tape on this, so bear with me. Oh, that's not tearing. This is... Now, you should have a few of these 12 by 12s left, so if you don't like the color pattern I'm using, change it. Okay, I'm going to put this right down. Oh, I don't like that. Get in there. Put this right here in the corner, here on the edge. We're going to walk it down. There we go. So now we're going to take and, you know what I'm going to do? Last moment little bit of change here. Get a little bit of height on this with these starfish. So I'm covering this one up with this one. Okay, and then we've got this other large one. And I'm just going to stick him down here. And then this small one. There we have it. Okay, so let's turn this over and let's get some tape on the back side. And while I'm doing this, this will give me a chance to plug my website. This will be for sale at www.mymessyfingers.com, along with other albums I've completed. And I have some other crafting supplies on that website as well. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you would. And I do realize that this is signature number 4. And the 5th one, which is already in, is really the last video. But I'm going to do some self-promoting there. At least I'm being honest about it. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is going to sit in here like so. I am going to turn it this way so that I can control how it lays. I'm coming all the way to the end, and then I'm making sure that I'm not at some canter left or right. Okay, there we have it. We're done. Thank you for playing along. I'll see you on the next build. Bye-bye.